China's threats, though, sending an aircraft carrier off the coast of Taiwan, etc., how seriously should we take them?
Well, we know they overreact to this. I think that doesn't compare to what they did as a result of the Speaker Pelosi visit. I mean, my sense is that there's no justification for their temper tantrums that they seem to display every time we have somebody of important visit. The Taiwan Relations Act that was done in 1979 as a result of the United States recognizing China but still maintaining relationships with Taiwan was established to maintain stability across the Taiwan Straits between Beijing, Taiwan, and the United States. But it's China that time and time again, and particularly under President Xi, Andrew, who has violated this over and over and over again by flying airplanes and ships into the interdiction zone that Taiwan has. And why are they doing that? They try to create anxiety and tension among the Taiwanese people, to pressure the government to capitulate and become a part of the mainland. It hasn't worked. Actually, as we all know from surveys that are being conducted and from President Tsai herself, that their resolve has been strengthened, particularly after they manhandled Hong Kong and violated the treaty that they had established with the UK 25 years earlier. And I have visited President Tsai on a number of occasions prior to COVID, trying to assist her military, but always having a meeting with her. And I found her to be quite remarkable in her steadfastness, Andrew, in standing up against mainland China. And in her second term, she had a landslide victory because she was so vocal and had so much spine in dealing with it. What we need to do is upgun her with arms and also with training to make certain that they're able to impose costs by themselves on China. They certainly could not defeat a Chinese invasion, but they can impose costs.
Oh, you're right to praise the president there. I mean, she is very impressive, and an embarrassing contrast with some of our Labor premiers who are sucking up to China and trying to tell us it's no great threat. But talking about, there's another way, apparently, a third way of dealing with China, who knows? The French president, Macron, he's in China to try his way, which is apparently not so aggressive as the US, that's his pitch, to build rapport with China's dictator. How successful could that be?
Yeah, President Macron I think, has been very frustrating dealing with Russia and Ukraine and the coalition led by the United States from the West, and also to include your country, South Korea and Japan, because he's always wanted to go to the negotiating table right from the outset. He takes a conciliatory tone as part of his diplomacy from the beginning, and he's taking a much softer reaction to China's repression at home and significant increase in aggression abroad. I mean, most of us have learned the lesson here that going back 25, 30 years, when we thought that if we helped China's economy and become more capitalistic with economic reform, that political reform would follow. And that did not happen. It failed miserably. China's aggression is increasing every single year. And handshakes, pats on the back, and pleasant rhetoric is not going to change their behavior. We have to make certain when they look out at the Western democracies and they look out at South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, and the other Southeast Asia countries, that what they actually see is strength and the willingness of those countries to confront China's aggression.
Look, absolutely, but I want to go back to and learn the lessons of history. Here's one that really jumped out at me this week. And to your point, being soft and trusting with dictators rarely works. I think we should have learned the lesson from Hitler, but, you know, on and on it goes. I note now that former US President Bill Clinton has apologised for having persuaded Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons in 1994 in exchange for a totally worthless promise from Russia that if it did that, Russia would never invade Ukraine. We know now what that word was worth. Here is Bill Clinton.
I feel terrible about it because Ukraine is a very important country, and I feel a personal stake because I got them to agree to give up their nuclear weapons, and none of them believe that Russia would have pulled this stunt if Ukraine still had their weapons.
What does that admission tell you, General?
Well, it tells us what weakness looks like and what the consequences really are. The fact is, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States gave assurances if Ukraine gave up their weapons, this is the Budapest Agreement of 1994, then they would provide security guarantees for Ukraine. France and China also signed the document, but their security guarantees, not surprising, were much weaker. And that's what Bill Clinton feels bad about, rightfully so. We arm wrestled the Ukrainians in doing this in terms of nuclear non-proliferation. And look what it's got. I mean, ever since Putin came into power, because he was not in power in 94, he came in 2000, and what he has wanted to do ever since then is recreate the Russian Empire and return all the former Soviet republics to that Russian Empire under his control. And Ukraine is the centerpiece of that. But so are the aligned NATO countries as well, particularly the Baltic states and Poland. Yes, that was a mistake, and we've made a lot of mistakes in conceding to Russia for Putin's 23 years through the reign of multiple presidents, I may add, in the United States.
General Keane, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Always good talking to you, Andrew, and your audience.